Okay, you have migrated an on-premise SQL Server database to an RDS database attached to a VPC inside a private subnet. Also, the related Java application hosted on-premise has been moved to Amazon Lambda function. Which of the following should you implement to connect Lambda function to its RDS instance? Configure Lambda to connect to the public subnet that will give internet access, and use security group to access RDS inside the private subnet. Use Lambda layers to connect to the internet and RDS separately. Use env variables to pass in the RDS connection string. Configure Lambda to connect to VPC with private subnet and security group needed to access RDS. Okay, so configure Lambda to connect with VPC with private subnet and security group needed to access RDS. Okay. Okay, I thought security group was with EC2 instances, but I guess. The development team has created a new IAM user that has S3 put object permission to write to an S3 bucket. This S3 bucket uses server-side encryption with KMS managed keys as the default encryption. Using the access key ID and the secret access key of the IAM user, the application received an access denied error while calling the put object API. How would you resolve this issue? Correct the ACL of the S3 bucket to allow the IAM user to upload encrypted objects. Correct the policy of the IAM user to allow the KMS generate data key action. Correct the bucket policy of the S3 bucket to allow the IAM user to upload encrypted objects. Correct the policy of the IAM user to allow the S3 encrypt action. Correct the policy of the IAM user to allow the KMS generate data key action. S3 bucket is using server-side encryption that when objects are uploaded for handling the encryption, the IAM user's account when IAM user does not have the necessary. All right. Okay, this is it. In order for the IAM user to upload objects encrypted, it needs permissions to generate a data key from the KMS key associated. Oh, all right. A company's e-commerce website is expecting hundreds of thousands of visitors on Black Friday. The marketing department is concerned that high volumes of orders might stress SQS, leading to message failures. The company has approached you for the steps to be taken as a precautionary measure against the high volumes. What step will you suggest as a developer associate? SQS is highly scalable and doesn't need any intervention to handle the expected high volumes. Reconfigure the SQS queue to increase the capacity when messages hit a certain threshold. Convert the queue into FIFO ordered queue, since messages to the down system will be processed faster once they are ordered. Enable auto scaling in the SQS queue. SQS is highly scalable and does not need intervention to handle expected high volumes. Okay, let's do one más. You are working for a shipping company that is automating the creation of ECS clusters with ACSG using a cloud formation template that accepts cluster name as its parameters. Initially, you launched a template with input value main cluster, which deployed 5 instances across 2 availability zones. The second time you launched the template with an input value second cluster. However, the instances created in the second run were also launched in main cluster, even after specifying a different cluster. What is the root cause of this issue? The security groups on the EC2 instances are pointing to the wrong ECS cluster. Okay, the ECS agent Docker image must be rebuilt to connect to the other clusters. The EC2 instance is missing an IAM permissions to join the other clusters. The cluster name parameter hasn't been updated in the file during bootstrap. Okay. The cluster name parameter has not been updated in the file during bootstrap. Okay.